You think that's what it is?
That's what I think
It's a conspiracy by Google. Okay, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on the camera because sometimes when it goes too long, it will just shut off. So I'll have to watch the camera every now and again. So I'm looking at you through there, but I'm also going to look at you this way.
Okay, but before we start, 818 million? 814,000 acres, which
That's
is
a lot.
3,313,622 square kilometers is forested land in the United States.
Where Sasquatch could be hiding.
Plenty of room for a giant ape to go running around.
Matt.
You guys laugh now, but I tell you, it'll come out
I don't know,
eventually.
it just tickles me. You're going to knock that thing down, and then everybody's going to see the terrible mess behind your chair. That is my construction. Okay, you didn't bring any artwork over at all, but I'm going to show it up on the screen.
Oh, yeah, it'd probably be better if you just put it up on...
it would. It's just kind of cool.
Pull it from Instagram or Facebook.
Okay. So I did give someone your Twitter information in case they wanted to contact you about anything. But I'm a terrible interviewer, so I don't know where to begin.
Am I supposed to look here or here?
Well, I don't know. See, I'm recording you there, but I'm going to put your picture up here when I'm editing it, and I'm going to try to use that audio and my audio, so I'm going to have a lot of editing to do. So I don't know. You can look straight at me if you want.
Can you do me one of those silhouettes where I talk like a robot? I haven't got to this guy.
I don't think my video editing capabilities are that good.
No,
I don't know. So I don't know. I've brought you up before. I've brought Timothy up before, and people are interested in, the fact that you're an artist. Some people have asked, do you do comic books and stuff like that? I know you've done a Star Trek.
Yeah, a long time
manga
ago.
type thing, and didn't you do something for Warcraft?
So it was before Tokyo Pot went out. It was we ended up. It wasn't just me. It was a kind of a studio of people. We did a Star Trek book, and then we did a StarCraft book, and then a Warcraft book.
Warcraft,
and they were all published through Tokyo Pop.
And then you did the one.
I was just an inker on those books. I think. I don't think I did any of the illustration on those books. I may have done a little bit.
What was that samurai one you did?
Samurai's Blood.
Samurai's Blood. And how many issues did you work on?
What was that? I think that was that 5 issues? I don't remember now. Because that was a long time ago, too. That was like 10 years ago.
It was a while. I have worn the heck out of that shirt you gave me.
Oh, that was the one I got. I got that at the San Diego Comic-Con when we went.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think, now that I think about it, I think that it may have been 2011.
What? 2011, before when Timothy was married?
I think it was 2011. Yeah.
Why did it feel like it was so much longer? So I gave an issue of your book. Well, you met Cass in 2012.
Yeah.
And you had already done the book by then.
Oh, yeah, I had done the book.
And I gave him an autographed copy of that book.
I do remember that. I also gave him an original drawing of some kind at some point.
Okay. You're going out of frame. Don't lean back too far. I know that chair might flip you back. That's the chair Teresa was in when it flipped right back over.
Oh, I can see why.
Yeah, and it was funny when she started to flip back. I'm like sitting here and she's sitting there and she starts to go back and she just kind of like, she turns and looks at me like that and then she looks straight ahead and she went right on back. And then I was laughing so hard at her. I said, hold on a minute, let me get my camera.
You took a picture of her?
I took a picture of her before I helped her on. I need to put that picture on here. That was so funny. That was hilarious. Okay. So anyway, I had mentioned that you worked on Timothy's book. I think that's how I first brought up your artwork. And that you had worked on Timothy's book. But I guess, I don't know, Matt. Talk about your career. I mean, you do other stuff. You're not a full-time illustrator or...
I have a regular real-world job, but then I do illustration and
you do commissions.
I do commissions. I do graphic design, illustration. I'm kind of getting more back into doing comics now.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a book right now with a guy named Mark Polton, and I'm doing some covers and I'm doing some double page spreads within that book. I'm not doing the sequential pages in there because I'm just way too slow.
Sequential pages, that's just like each page.
Sequential pages are the ones that break down into panels.
Oh, okay. So when you say double page spread, that means that, like that picture you
like
showed me yesterday, with 2 pages
with just
one picture.
Just one picture. Yeah,
okay.
There's just one image on there.
And that one is for. Can you talk about what that one was for?
That
if you can't, that's okay.
Oh, I can talk about what it's. But it's Viking Wolf. It was written and created by Mark Polton. And he's put up some other books online. Graveyard Shift 1 and 2. He's worked on, he actually was a writer, I believe, on, I think it was Hawkman.
Really?
For a little while. I don't know how many issues he wrote, but he's worked on some things.
So he worked DC. He did DC.
He wrote a book called The Pizza Tree. I think he won an award for that.
Really?
Yeah, I think he won I want to say he won an award for that. Was it a Ringo Award, I think?
Have you met with him face to face?
Yeah, he doesn't live very far from me. Oh. He lives in Lindenwold.
Oh, okay.
So he's only like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes.
Oh,
25
that's
minutes
cool.
away.
How did you meet him?
I met him through a friend of mine, Enrico, who, it's funny because I met Enrico through another friend.
A lot of networking.
And it's funny because Enrico, so Enrico actually used to work for Marvel, or not Marvel, sorry, Image.
Oh, okay. Image
He worked for Todd McFarlane. Yeah, I think he was working.
He worked for Todd McFarlane?
Yeah, he used to work for Todd McFarlane.
You told me that.
He worked for him for a short period of time, and he was he did sculpting and things like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like designing. I don't know where my Terminator. Oh,
you see that down. Spawn?
Like the Spawn stuff?
Yeah. He worked on stuff like that.
And the Terminator fell down. You can see his boots, and the Spawn stuff is really dusty.
But yeah, so he did his, but he's also he also is an illustrator, and he does things like that too.
But he doesn't do that full time either.
No. He's got another job as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he worked with Todd McFarlane for a little while, and it was funny because he actually worked with a guy that I went to college with.
Who, Enrico or Todd?
Enrico did.
Okay.
Where he knew him one way or the other. I think his name was, I don't remember his name now. Anyway, it's funny. It was weird because Enrico ended up knowing a couple people that I know outside of the person that I met him through.
Uh-huh.
Like he knew somebody at Disney that I knew.
It
was a lot of.
You guys met in Jersey? Yeah. Or when you lived up in.
No, I met him in New Jersey.
In Jersey.
At the gym. Yeah, at the gym.
That's funny. And then that's when you found out you knew these different people.
Yeah.
Kind of like Tara with Allie.
Yeah, and then I think it was Dan, one of my friends, Dan, who lives in Canada now.
Oh yeah, him.
He knew one of Enrico's friends.
That's crazy.
As well.
It's probably just because industry, right?
Yeah, probably.
They were within the same industry.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Funny, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm starting to get back into doing comics.
You don't have a website yet, or I would.
No.
All I can do is like link your Instagram
I float all my stuff
Twitter.
on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And that's just kind of like how I've been running.
You should get You should make a Facebook page at least. So that's all you highlight is just your stuff.
Yeah, I probably should do that, but I never.
And you might get commission work through that too.
I've got commission requests through Facebook.
Through Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten through Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook is how I get most of that. But I ended up getting I ended up working with Mark on Viking Wolf because he asked me to do a cover for him. I did a cover for him for his Graveyard Shift book, and then and then he wanted.
I'm going to need that cover so I can put it up.
Yeah, I can get that. There's actually he's had it colored. I don't know if I put the colored one up.
I don't remember because that name sounds familiar, but I don't remember what the picture was.
It's like a X-Men version of Universal Monsters almost. It's like
that's cool.
Frankenstein character, vampire character, ghost character. It's pretty neat.
Do you read it? You read the whole? Is he done? Or
yeah, it's done. It's
done.
It's out.
You read it?
I haven't read it. No, I never got a copy.
You don't have time.
No, I don't have time to read comics.
Right. And it's funny. Well, I mean, do you even have the desire to read comics? Is also another thing. So like,
Yeah, that's weird because I remember I used to really enjoy reading comics, and I remember I used to read
Yes, I
your
gave you my
comics.
comics, and then you and Timothy destroyed them.
Yeah, we cut them up and made our own comics. That's what happened.
And then I tried to rebuy some of the
You
ones
know
that
what we
I'd given
did?
you. So
I think I remember actually we cut some of the characters out of the pages, and we were making our own comics by the cutouts.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, I used to really enjoy reading comics a lot. But I think like the older I got, the more I just like really got into the process and creative side of it, and that like I really like artists who have a unique take on their approach to comics, visually anyway. Maybe not so much in the writing these days, but visually. And for example,
the style, the aesthetics of it.
The aesthetics. Like for example, Sam Keith is one of like lately the last few months I've been really looking at a lot of his work, and he did a book called The Max that was put out by I'm pretty sure it was put out by Image Comics.
Okay.
But I think it may have been published somewhere else before that. But he's an example because none of his anatomy is correct. Like he's not really into this hyper realistic representation of reality.
So is it exaggerated?
But it's this very exaggerated,
like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, how they did the Kingpin. That sort of exaggeration.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, very.
Really?
And
you like that?
I do because it's unique. But I also appreciate more of the artists have a more of a realistic approach to it. But my point is that I really get interested in the way artists tweak reality, and then they manifest their own visual interpretation of this reality onto a page. And I really enjoy seeing the way people that are really I would use the term true to themselves, because they are putting on the page exactly what they want to put on the page, and they're expressing exactly what they want to express. So they're very true to their craft, or they have a real handle on what they're doing. And I find it interesting that there's just so many ways. There's so many different ways to do it. So
you're a very deep thinker, see. So I'm just like, I look at it, I'm like, I don't think about, well, they're true to themselves. I'm just very, that looks nice. Or that doesn't look nice. You get all into the philosophical type stuff.
Well, it's not, I feel it's because it's more like, I feel like when you're illustrating, like, I'll tell you, like for me, over the years, I worked at developing a style.
Yeah.
And then eventually I stopped trying to make it happen, and I just got inspired by different artists and artists different, even just the most small things, like, I like the way that guy draws elbows. So then I would draw my elbows like that.
You would notice something like that.
Yeah, so I would notice all these little elements from these different artists. Yeah. and like, for example, Sam Keith, the way that he would just decide to exaggerate anatomy for like there was I liked the way he would exaggerate things. So sometimes when I draw, I will over exaggerate certain anatical things for certain reasons.
You do.
But I do it on purpose.
Like with the women, the hips, how their hips are like wet, like they're super pears.
It looks good.
See, I'm like, I wouldn't want to look like that.
It looks good though.
She's a total pear.
I don't want to ramble too much, but I think what I'm trying to say is that if you get to, and I don't know that I'm at that point yet, but I think if you get to that point where what you're putting down on that page is with absolute, utter confidence, you can tell a confident artist, you can tell a confident line versus an unconfident. I mean,
see, I wouldn't know the difference.
You can
I
tell.
guess you as a trained artist would, but
you can tell if somebody's struggling through, and I can tell my own pieces. If somebody's struggling through something, putting their page together, or struggling through their anatomy, or struggling through their interpretation of anatomy, or struggling through their interpretation of the way they draw a tree or something. It could be, there's so many different things. But you can tell the ones that really have a handle on it, that they're not trying to draw a tree or a house or the superhero's arm coming straight at you. They're not trying to do it. They're just doing it because they have such a confident, firm grasp on how they're going to express themselves visually.
Okay.
That you in that you are being true to yourself as an artist, because I feel like you have mastered your craft to the point it's like, I feel like when you're that good, it comes off as very authentic. At least to me, it does.
Do you feel like you still struggle, or do you feel like you've got a firm grip on what you're trying to portray on the page?
I think I'm always trying to figure out different ways to understand things. And because of that, I'm always figuring out different ways to put things down on paper. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I feel like I'm always like on a learning curve. Well, it's not so much that I'm unsure about it. I just feel like I feel like I'm still trying. Learning. I feel like I'm still trying to figure some things out. But
I mean, that's good because...
But I'll be honest with you, most of the time when I can't figure something out, you run into a roadblock. I just got to figure out how to do it. And I just take as much time as I need to figure out how to do it the right way and make it look right. And then I just plow through it. And then sometimes it sucks because it'll be something that should be simple, but because maybe you're having a hard time wrapping your mind around it, it becomes more difficult than it should be. And then it takes a while. So you're really trying to work your way through how to do this or how to do that. And you end up spending hours working your way through this thing. But then the next time you do it, it takes minutes.
Yeah, like sometimes people will ask you, I see when you put stuff up on Facebook or wherever, they'll be like, well, how long did it take you to do that? And you're like, oh, maybe an hour total.
Yeah, sometimes. And then like sometimes it takes a long time for me to draw something really simple.
Really? That's crazy. So, okay. Well, I'm trying to... Oh, that's funny. So...
You're going to have to really edit this video and pare down some of the rambling.
Yeah, I will. I will edit it because I'm going to also have to... What I ideally want to do is take your audio and when you're talking, put the audio from that mic in. But the thing is, we're talking over each other.
Oh.
So...
Then it gets...
Yeah, I don't know. It might be just simpler to use this audio. Because I can still hear you, like the microphone still picks you up pretty good across the room. It's just, it probably sounds better with your voice in that mic.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, people had suggested to showcase your work. So I think also what I'm going to do is maybe do a Skype call with Timothy and talk about his book and the process of working on that thing.
Which book are you going to talk about? The Tide Turns or the...
Probably in the Tide Turns, but also on the hit list. Now, on the hit list didn't have artwork in it except for the cover.
Yeah, that was that guy, Mike Capriotti.
Yeah, that guy. I was wanting to say Joseph somebody. I was like,
he's been working on, I think he was working on covers for some video games.
Recently?
Mike Capriotti was, yeah.
And did you recommend him to Timothy?
Yeah, I did. I think I only got in touch with Mike Capriotti. I think that was through Enrico.
Oh, okay. So you didn't know Mike.
I didn't know him. I mean, I don't really know. I think I maybe commented on Facebook back and forth with him a couple times, but I don't really know him that well. And I think I've been to a couple conventions he was at, but I recommended him I recommended Tim get in touch with him because he's a really good illustrator and painter.
Yeah, he did a good job on the cover. It was funny because on the cover of on the hit list, someone made a comment about the artwork on the cover and the way he drew Chester. Mm-hmm. He drew Chester like wearing these shorts and socks and flip-flops, I think, something like that. And the reviewer said something like, and he had described how he had made Chester with these socks and flip-flops. He's like, because of course. Of course that's how Chester
That's exactly how he'd work. He probably has Cheeto stains on his fingers.
I can't remember. He might have. It's been a while since I've seen the cover. But, yeah. So anyway, I can't think of anything else to ask. I would like be like, well, what inspired you to get into art? And when did you know that you were an artist? You were young. You were like 5 and you were drawing.
Oh, yeah.
And did you say it was Aunt Deanna that inspired you or got you into it? She keeps saying something like that, and I didn't remember that was the case.
So it wasn't really Aunt Deanna it wasn't her that inspired me to start drawing, but I think it was more so watching the way she would draw and just I think
the process,
observing the way she would draw in the process of drawing. I think is just one of the things that there was a time when I would just pay close attention to it and applied what I saw her doing to my own.
Because you were doing it before, weren't you?
But I was doing it before that.
That's what I thought.
But you know what really actually what it was when Mom got that VHS tape of How to Draw Comics.
Oh yeah, the Marvel way. I remember that. Yeah.
So because we didn't have a TV,
right?
And then we'd have 2.5, 3 months of summer here to just sit around and not really have much to do at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were pretty boring summers for us.
Did you really?
We didn't really do anything.
I mean, you and Tim were always playing and doing stuff.
But we didn't play video games all day like kids do now.
Yeah.
And
but you guys did get video games. We did in the 80s.
But we didn't have a TV, so we couldn't watch TV.
No, we just had the VHS, or we'd get stuff from the library.
Remember
the projector
I guess what I mean is that if you're inside, it was boring because you had to find ways to entertain yourself. And it was like kids now just turn on YouTube or the internet.
Yeah.
But we didn't even have the internet.
No.
But we had the Mom got that VHS tape of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and because we had that VCR on a monitor where we could watch videotapes, Tim and I would watch that videotape over and over and over and over and over again. And I probably watched it more than he, because eventually he would get tired of sitting there and drawing. He would get up and leave and go play, and I would stay.
And his artwork reflects that. Well, also, Timothy's just not an artist.
No.
But I feel like there were some pieces that he worked very hard on, but when you compare his stuff to your stuff, you can just tell that you just sort of had that more natural type, innate artistic ability. Because I think some people are born with this stuff, Matt. I mean, I know people can craft it.
I don't think so. I think probably I think it's the same thing as like an athlete. I think some people are born with probably like the genetics to be a great athlete in, say, a particular sport, whether it be powerlifting or baseball, football, basketball, whatever, and their genetics lend themselves to that. Like, that you have all the genetic advantages of this or whatever. But and they may or may not be a great athlete, depending on how hard they work at it. Right. Or what their life circumstances are. Who knows? Yeah. But I think that's probably with things like artistic ability and technical knowledge, you know, the people that are analytical versus the people that are more creative. I think your brain is just simply probably slanted one way or the other, and that depending on how you pick up and decide to go with things will, you know, if you're a creative person and you head into creative direction, your creative slanted brain will probably help that, and vice versa, whatever it is. So I don't really know though if people are like born, like I'm sure there's people that are born with minds that learn better or learn faster or are more creative. But some people definitely
have more creative brains. You know, they talk about the difference between the right brain and the left brain and whichever one's more dominant. That's kind of what I mean. So your brain obviously works differently from Timothy's. Timothy's really good with writing and stuff like that, painting pictures with words, and you're good with just making pictures.
Yeah, I think because I think some people probably are able to. I mean, it's probably just like anything else. People are better at constructing and communicating with words, and other people are really good at understanding, have a good depth and perception, and how to represent 2-dimensionally or 3-dimensionally on page. Yeah, you know. So
anyway, it was interesting because Timothy was always like, you could tell he was kind of like a bit annoyed that he couldn't quite match. Yeah, but the way you would do yours, and he would try to copy it. And it was just like,
I think. But to be honest with you, I think that most people can learn to draw way better than they realize. Yeah. Because if you go through like the drawing techniques and you learn traditional drawing techniques, like how to, like when you're drawing, like how to do lay out grids, you know, and transfer a photo from a grid and onto a page, or to use sighting techniques with your pencil, and once you and start to understand the technical aspects of, like, say, like plotting 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, and understanding just anatomy, proportions, and motion and movement. But I think, like, if you go through the steps of learning you can learn all these technical things, which will be a big help to you. However, it won't help if you don't sit down and spend literally half your life drawing.
Yeah. Or
more. But I think anybody can learn to, say, draw a portrait. Anybody can learn to draw a portrait, because there's you can go through the steps, learn the technical, the methods for it.
But the quality will differ.
Because I think what it is that somebody who's highly creative, if they learn the same techniques and process, it's like putting salt on food. It's gonna enhance. I think their creative nature will enhance.
Yeah.
Because really, what really obviously makes a good artist is for them to also be able to communicate, whether it's visual or written or sound, something unique. And it's something unique in that they put something of themselves into it or onto it that it communicates a flavor to it that is different than just drawing something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you use photo reference, like a lot of artists use photo reference. I use photo reference sometimes. When I do use it, I alter it a lot. But the problem is that people that aren't creative, or you can tell haven't really spent a whole lot of time drawing, if they use photo reference, it's like it's a trace, and it's flat and it looks boring and uninteresting. But somebody who has more mileage behind their pencil,
mileage, that's a good one,
or whatever, can take a photo reference and turn it into something spectacular.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And when they do that, that's because they're putting something of themselves into that piece. So it's like, how much are you able to scrape out yourself and plop down on a page? You know, because you got to dig deep sometimes.
Dig real deep.
Sometimes you got to dig real deep to do that. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't think I have any more left.
Right.
You know, and
you would scrape the bottom of the barrel, quite literally. So, okay. Well, this was interesting. I can't think of anything else to ask.
I thought you were going to ask about Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. Bigfoot. So you're all into Sasquatch. And you listen to, what's the name of that podcast again?
Sasquatch Chronicles.
I know. Just wanted to hear you say.
There's a couple other ones like that.
Hold on. See? That's what happens. Okay.
And I'm not afraid to admit it.
I do not know where the camera cut off, but we were talking about the podcast you listened to, and you said it was, repeat it again.
Sasquatch Chronicles.
And you're not afraid to admit it.
No, I'm not. I don't see what the big deal is. You know, because at work, a couple of my coworkers, you know, they joke and make fun of me. I mean, not in a mean way.
I'm not actually making fun of you. I just find it funny. So, like, to me, you're such a contrast.
Yeah.
And, like, you're very muscle bound, and people can't tell it right now because you.
Oh my God.
People can't tell it right now because you got the beard and everything. But I've mentioned that you kind of favor Arnold Schwarzenegger, especially when he was younger.
Yeah.
And some of your other pictures, you look a lot like him. And yet, at the same time, you're this highly artistic and creative person, and your mindset is not necessarily on the same side as what a lot of creative folk.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not necessarily oriented that way. You're just like this big contrast to me.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that about myself too. I don't know why.
And it's just interesting to me. And then it's funny to hear you're also into Sasquatch.
Yeah, because it's interesting.
It is interesting. It's just funny how obsessed you are.
Well, what I was going to tell you is that at work, a couple of the guys that I work with, you know, like not in a mean way, but, you know, they kind of joke with me because sometimes I'll talk about Sasquatch. So I asked one of my coworkers, Kyle, was like, I don't understand how you can believe in aliens, but you won't believe in Bigfoot. He's like, look, I'm just saying, I believe. Look, I'm not saying that they don't exist. That's what he's saying. He said, but I'm not saying they do.
So he believes in aliens.
Oh yeah, he believes in aliens.
But he has a hard time believing in the possibility of Sasquatch running around in the woods.
So he's not. His take is he's not saying that there's no Sasquatch. But he's saying that
just tickling me, Matt.
I guess he would probably tell you that he believes in aliens before he believes in Sasquatch.
That's kind of funny because you would think it would be easier to believe in something like Sasquatch, which is earthbound, right?
You should put a poll. Can you put a poll up on your video where you see people whether or not they think the chances of a ape running around North America are?
I don't know.
Are you able to do that?
I don't know if I can do it in the video, but
I'm curious to know what everybody else thinks. Am I the only crazy person that is? I hardly ever meet anybody that says, "Oh yeah, definitely."
So what I can do is
Everybody's always like, "Oh, Bigfoot, you're crazy." Come on,
I don't think you're crazy. I just think it's funny. It's humorous to me that you're into that, and I'm not laughing at you because I do find it fascinating too, and I don't necessarily discount it either. I'm just not like.
I want you to tell me right here now that there's Bigfoot.
I can't say it because I don't know.
Look, if you had to bet $1,000 whether or not there was a Bigfoot running around, what would you bet?
I'd probably bet 1,000.
Me too. I'd bet 2,000.
What was I getting ready to say? Oh, I was getting ready to say I don't think I can put a poll up on my video, but I can. The community tab has now been opened on my YouTube to where I can create posts and create polls. So I created a poll on there to ask what did people think would be a good idea to do for, like, I was going to mark my 500 subscribers and if that or 1,000 subscribers with some sort of special, I don't know, video or something to mark the occasion. And well, then it flew right past that. I'm in like 3,500 now.
Oh, wow.
I know.
You got 3,500 followers?
Subscribers, yeah.
Or subscribers?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
It happened like that.
That's neat. I guess you just put that particular thing out there that people want to see at a particular time. And
it had to be because what happened is, and as I've said this in some of my other videos, like this year has sucked. I hate this year. Mm-hmm. I think most people do. And I don't know. I just, I had seen a video of Bill Burr, someone reacting to a Bill Burr routine about white guilt. Have you seen that one?
No.
I'm going to have to play it for you when we're done recording. So it was about white guilt. And I can't remember who. It was somebody that I have seen their reaction videos before. It's a black guy, I think. And he got the biggest, he was so tickled. I was so tickled watching him get tickled by Bill Burr. And I was like, this is pretty freaking hilarious. This guy's funny. And then I went watching all these other reaction videos to that same routine.
You have heard of Bill Burr before, haven't you?
I don't think, no, I had not.
You never heard of Bill Burr?
No, if I had, he did not cement himself in my head. No, I did not realize until after I was aware of him. Like, I may have known of him, maybe just kind of like
he's hilarious. I love that guy.
But I've never seen a routine of his. And if I have, it's just completely gone from my memory.
I think, I want to say that I first saw him. I might be wrong, but I want to say when I was in California, I think is when I first heard him.
You know, Timothy saw him live.
He saw him live?
Yes!
Where did he see him live?
He told me that the other day. He saw him at like Universal Studios something. I'm like, are you serious?
I was
it
trying
was like
to,
way back when.
I was trying to get tickets to go see Joe Rogan. But I was like, I can't pay. They were like super expensive.
Yeah, I don't know how it ended up that Timothy saw him, but he told me that the other day. We were talking, and he told me, I'm like, are you kidding me? And I think it was around the time that he got married, either shortly before or shortly after, like maybe 2014, that he saw him. But yeah, so no, if I had seen him in passing, it was just nothing stuck in my head. So like when I say I'd never heard of them before, it's just, if I did, it's just went.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until later he played in The Mandalorian. He played in an episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I remember
he was
his
also in
now.
Breaking Bad.
I heard that, but see, I never saw Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he was in Breaking Bad.
He was on like the last season, right?
I think maybe
somewhere
close
towards
to
the
that.
end.
Yeah, towards the end.
Ish. But yeah, I was like, I completely didn't know that. And so I started watching all these people's reactions to his white guilt routine. I'm like, this guy's freaking hilarious. But what happened is, before I did Bill Burr's, I had found this guy called Zach Rushing. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos of his that I've reacted to, but he's this guy that sits in his car and talks about he pontificates about stuff like the differences between men and women.
Yeah.
And I had seen someone reacting to his routine about his first black cookout, which was really funny.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
That guy, yeah.
That was
so
funny,
I was like, this is making me laugh, and I like that I'm laughing, because it's been just such a shitty year. And so I contacted Zach, and I asked if I could, use some of his routines on my channel. I wanted to bring some more comedy into my channel. And he said, sure, go for it. So I did that one. And then after that one, I did Bill Burr. And I can't remember which one of Bill Burr's I did first. Fat people or something like that. Or people need lotion. Maybe that's the one. Anyway, the response to that was humongous. And then the one I did about vagina privilege, that just blew up. Because I actually got kind of upset when I was watching it. Have you seen that routine of his?
Are you talking about the one where he's talking about getting beat by his girlfriend?
His girlfriend, who later became his wife.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she doesn't do that anymore.
I don't think. I was listening to them talk about that incident, and she seems like she's reformed a bit, but she says, I'm just a very passionate person. I'm like, dude, you are an abusive person.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Not passionate.
I've known a couple of people that were in relationships like that actually one of my friends got arrested multiple times because his ex kept claiming that he was doing things that he wasn't.
They do that all the time.
So she would make marks on herself on purpose, and then the cops would show up and arrest them. And it got thrown out and dismissed every time. But
the cops would automatically believe because she's the one with marks on her.
I think what it was too was that sometimes it's because I can understand where the cops coming from.
Right.
Where he'd show up and he'd be like, look, he's like, either one of you got to leave or one of you got to go to jail.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, and so he would just leave for the day or for the night or for the week or whatever. But the cop shows up and he's like, well, what is he going to do? What's the cop supposed to do at that point?
Yeah. Like if it is a real situation where he did hurt her and he doesn't do anything and then maybe he kills her.
Yeah.
But
also too, like what if there's a situation where the woman wants the guy out of the house, but then he's refusing to leave. So they both have the right to live there.
Right.
So then the cop shows up and they're fighting. So what does the cop do? He's
got to do something in the moment.
So is he going to make the husband leave or is he going to make the wife leave? Mm-hmm. So how do you decide which one you got to kick out? Or,
you know what they typically decide. Well, they typically haul the guy off because that's just kind of like the way it is. But when I saw that video, it actually really upset me because he just like took this sharp turn talking about, did I tell you about the time when my girlfriend beat me up on Valentine's Day or something like that? He's like, I'm the only guy that can give a Valentine's card. And then by the end of the night, she ends up punching me in the head or something. I'm paraphrasing. But that really, like, I was just like, that sucker punched me because I started thinking about the people we know that have been in situations like that. And also I was thinking about Uncle Kenny. His wife killed him. And she tried to make it look like she was doing it in self-defense, but they very quickly determined that it was not. And she had a history of emotional, mental, and physical abuse against him. And that just, I don't know, it just made me, and that has troubled me ever since I saw that. And it still troubles me.
You know what I think though is the reason is because the reality is that most of the time, and it's not all, because I know some women who beat the crap out of me. First of all,
some women who beat the crap out of you.
I said I know some women that could probably beat the crap out of me,
like a power lifter,
and not even blink. But I think by and large, a man most of the time has the potential to do a lot more damage.
Yeah, the strength of a man's punch is more.
So I think that's kind of why you see people leaning more towards women, and it's like, to be fair, you got to? I feel like you got to cut them a little slack. Even though...
For believing that the man is the abuser first?
Yes. I think even though...
I know that's ingrained into us.
I know that when you're going into it, you think, okay, I'm going to be completely like, men and women are equal. But the reality is like, we all have these preconceived notions based on what we kind of observe to be true, is that usually a guy's bigger than a woman. Usually a guy can hurt a woman more than a woman can hurt a guy.
Can hurt a guy
more than a girl's punch. So I think that kind of
colors
their perception going in it.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, I feel like you can't get too frustrated at somebody who feels that way because of that.
I guess I get frustrated because I'm beyond that part.
But
like I don't
what I
feel
think
that way
is
so much.
frustrating is that
Or
when
people
somebody
defend it.
always sides with one or the other, regardless of, and
The
it's like,
situation.
even as you learn more about the situation,
Yeah, that they always.
that it's like, well, they just become at the point where they just cut off. They're like, oh, well, I'm just going to believe what I believe.
Yeah, like the
that's
deal
fine.
with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to go about your life just believing what you believe because you want to believe it,
Yeah.
and not even be open to the idea of there being a 8-foot humanoid creature walking around the woods. We're talking about Bigfoot more in this interview.
It just comes right back around full circle.
No, but what I'm saying is that's just another example of people have a particular way of thinking.
Yeah.
And they often refuse. But see, the thing is, too, like, I think another thing is people got to accept the fact that their thinking, too, at a certain point in time may be relevant and appropriate and correct. And that's what they believe. And then 10 years later, that may not be the case.
Right.
And it's like, well, you might need to adjust your thinking a little
Mm-hmm.
bit because circumstances have changed.
Right.
Or new information has come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we usually are more inclined to not do that.
Right.
And everybody's guilty of it, like all of us,
Mm-hmm.
due to our ego, because we just don't like to be wrong.
Yeah, people don't like to change their perception of things.
You know,
because then it forces them to admit that they were wrong before. Their ideas were wrong.
Yeah, so I feel like some people feel vulnerable. I feel like they may feel like they make themselves vulnerable. They put themselves in a perceived vulnerable position if they admit fault or wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I've changed my thinking about a lot of things.
I have too, and I'm very firmly in this way of thinking now. Like, I have changed, but I'm not going to go back to the way it was before. So, I really
again, there
can't
might be
see
some things that you think now. New information could come out, or some new facts and change your ideas about things. That's just.
It depends what it is.
Depends what it is.
Some things for me are very, very black and white, and you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, some things are got a lot of gray area, and you have like an idea about something, and then you can change your perception.
But no matter what it is, I think that you should always be open to the ideas that there can be some. It's almost like a. I don't really know what the term it is I want to use, but the point is that there could be something earth-shaking that could shift your thinking dramatically about anything. And I'll give you, for example, like people that
I doubt I'm ever going to support communism. I'll give you an example.
Well,
this is a black and white for me. That sort of thing is what I'm talking about.
I wouldn't support communism either.
So I don't know. I guess it really would depend.
The thing is about communism and socialism is even though I don't believe in them, I think there are legitimate questions that come up that are proposed by the people that subscribe to it. Mm-hmm. I think there's legitimate concerns that they make, even though I don't agree with, like, I don't think that's the way we should do it. Yeah. But I understand what they're talking about because, you know, there are a lot of them that are really good people, and there are a lot of them that are highly intelligent. So, you know, I think it's almost at some point it's like it becomes less of a concern of like, well, what numbers do you have? What history do you have? What facts do you have? What data do you have? Really, it starts to, and I don't know if you want to use the term devolve into. Or evolve into, I don't know what the proper term is, but it's more of a philosophical position. Yeah. It becomes more of a philosophical position.
Right, because you're talking about ideology.
Where you're talking about at what point do the old cliche, like how much of your freedoms are you willing to trade for security and safety? Right. And I think at the end of the day, most reasonable people agree that there has to be a balance between the two. Yeah. And that's just it. Because I really don't think, like, any of the people that I know, like personally that I know, that they may not call themselves communists, but they subscribe to a lot of like socialist type of ideas. But at the end of the day, they want, so some of them believe that they want the security of healthcare, and they want the security of like this, that, or whatever it is. But at the same time, they also want to have all the freedoms.
Right.
That I think people like me and you try to defend.
Yeah.
So it's not like they think like
that they don't want the freedom.
Like, I don't think
they want both.
Yeah, so I don't think that they're edging.
I
don't think that they want this Orwellian dystopia.
No, I don't think anybody wants it. That. But that's the result.
But I feel
that's
like
problem.
that if we continue the way we're going, where we try to intimidate people into a particular way of thinking, I think that's a pretty dangerous place that's a dangerous road to go down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you're conservative or a liberal, a socialist, a communist, a Marxist, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far right you are or how far left you are. People need to realize that extremes
they're dangerous no matter what.
Once they take hold in a society, whether it's leftist extremism or conservative right-wing extremism, it's a very dangerous place to be. Yeah. And that's the thing that I don't understand about people, that I've actually heard people say it more than once, often, is about they wish just Donald Trump could be president forever. Oh, like, you're crazy.
No. You don't want an emperor, for goodness sakes. You don't want a dictator.
Why would you want that?
No.
So they want that because
I've seen people say that about Obama too.
Yeah, I've seen it too. But that just okay. That person can't think outside.
That's the tribalistic.
Yes, a tribalistic mentality, and they can't think outside of. Okay, well, what's it mean if whoever? Well, what do they? Maybe they hated Bernie Sanders. Well, what do you think of what if Bernie Sanders was president forever?
Right.
Or Joe Biden.
You have to
look
at it from
so
the
like
other.
Which one? You have to understand that if you say you want to make the set of rules, like okay, let's apply this set of rules to this situation. Let's change the rules. Okay, but now when this new group comes along, or this new candidate,
would you be just as cool with that then?
Into that office,
right?
They're going to have all the things, all the tools available to him or her that was left by the previous administration.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people don't think that far ahead.
Right. They don't. A lot of people they don't see the big picture.
Yeah.
They just see like right in the moment. So like a lot of things that I see happening, I can see the dangers like years down the road. And then when you speak out against that, you're labeled whatever. But it's like, look, you're looking beyond this little tiny bubble we're in right now, and you're seeing the problem that this can present in the future. So
yeah,
a lot of people, they have trouble understanding that. I guess it's just because a lot of people, they only think about the here and now.
And then they have the problem of calling out bad behavior on their side, on the people that they align with.
Yeah. That's the tribalistic stuff though. It's like that with any group.
I mean,
with most people in any group.
Well, see, you saw this what happened with the police, the last few weeks, the last several weeks. And then what you saw happen is this huge agreement about this guy George Floyd, who was killed by a cop, and unilateral agreement that it was wrong. However, it still deteriorated into this very one side versus the other,
right? Antagonistic.
And I feel like even people like that would agree with the other side were still pushed by the opposition into, okay, well, you got to be all in or else.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what, at the same time, I also saw, I did see some of it from people that were defending police. They're like, well, they would say very ignorant things like, well, you just need to respect authority. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I agree that you should respect authority. But the fact of the matter is that there are some cops that shouldn't be in a position of authority.
Right.
the best thing to do if you ever encounter a policeman like that or policewoman like that is just to do what they say.
Yeah.
Let them arrest you. And then once you get downtown, then file a report or whatever you got to do, because you resisting is going to put you in a worse spot.
Yeah.
Potentially. So, yes, respect authority, I guess, so you don't get shot if you think that might happen.
It's not really respecting authority. That's just I don't want to get killed because you have the legal right to kill me if you get pissed enough.
Yeah. So,
and you can a lot of times write the narrative in such a way that if you don't have a body cam, the law is going to believe you as opposed to.
And it's funny because like I came off as defending cops a lot, and I really wasn't doing that. What ended up happening was I was seeing a lot of videos that didn't support the narrative.
Yeah.
That was being built. So therefore, I was defending police because the facts didn't support your narrative. Sorry, that's just the way it is. But I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of other videos where that narrative does support that.
Right.
Okay. The facts do support that narrative. So I don't know what to tell you. I can only look at a video, hear all the facts, and then make a determination or educated opinion, form an educated opinion on what I see. Beyond that, I can't do any more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen all the videos that other people have seen. I've seen videos of a guy bullied, harassed, beaten for no reason by a cop. And he was like some guy out of state out on a train yard or something. And the guy was seriously abused by this policeman for no reason.
Yeah.
I've seen video where a guy was shot by a police. He was told to get his ID. The guy simply reached to grab his ID as instructed.
Yes.
The cop
shot him.
To be fair to the cop, didn't see what he was reaching for him. But to be fair,
he told him to get his ID.
Yes, but to be fair to the guy, it's like, well, the guy's being pulled over by a cop and he has a gun drawn on him. He's going to be nervous.
Right.
But then the cop's nervous for whatever reason. I don't know. So the guy reaches for ID, and then the cop shoots him. He shot him like multiple times. And I don't think
he didn't kill him, thank goodness. But I remember that exactly. What he told him, he needed his ID, license, whatever. So the guy was standing right outside his vehicle.
Yeah.
And he just rotated his body to get it.
And the cop
shot him.
The cop opened fire on him.
Right. Yeah. And the guy said to him, "Why did you shoot me?" And he said, the cop said something like, "Because you dove headfirst into your car." Well, he wasn't diving. He didn't go like that or anything. He just turned around to get it. And if it weren't for the camera, the judge would have believed the cop, Matt. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't even know what the end result of that whole
I think he got in trouble, but I don't know if he lost his job.
The whole point is that there are plenty of instances where it's very, I feel like sometimes the media too does choose examples that are open to interpretation and purpose.
Of course they do.
To create that argument.
Of course they do.
Because I'll be honest with you, most of the people that I've talked to in person about these sort of situations kind of have the same opinion that I do about it. And these are all types of people that have all types of ideas about different things. So it wasn't even colored in a political type of way. It was simply okay, this is what happened. We were having a discussion about it. And I was like, yeah, I agree. If the guy tried to do this, then I could see why the cop shot him. Yeah. So a lot of times that's how conversations would end. But you go on Instagram, on social or Facebook media, or Twitter,
and it doesn't matter what the situation is. They've already decided.
Your thread feed looks like a busted can of biscuits. It's just and everybody's saying all sorts of retarded, random stuff that doesn't even make sense.
I know. That's what social media just. I'm more on YouTube these days than Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Well, number one, just because I've been giving more attention to my channel, but number two, it's just YouTube seems a little bit more palatable as far as that goes. No, not quite as antagonistic. I mean, it can be. Some can be.
Oh, you know what? I feel like I may be wrong, but I feel like in the comments section, if you go to the comments section on YouTube, I feel like people don't take things as seriously on YouTube, judging by a lot of the comments I've just read over the years.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go on Twitter, people get mad. They get angry.
There is so much virtue signaling going on.
And
and Twitter and Facebook.
Points and
yeah. Anyway, well, this conversation has really taken turn. I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'll split this up. So I'll take the part where we were talking about your art and Sasquatch, and I'll make that as part of my main video that I was going to do. And then I'll take this other sort of political, philosophical sort of conversation we've had and make that sort of an extra video.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. you know.
Oh, did I get to say how many square miles of unexplored?
Oh, say it now
All
for
right.
a.
Just want so everybody knows.
Now I got to contact Timothy and see if he'll agree to us. What is it?
Let's see.
So kids are playing, and I was thinking of wanting to do some photography shots, but that's the only.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
We're almost done. Matt's looking up
But,
how many uninhabited.
Okay. So I googled how much of the forest in North America how much of
Unexplored?
No. I just put in how much of North America is forest land.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So the answer was 40% of
I thought
our
it was
land.
1/3.
It says a little bit more than 40% of the land area.
That's quite a bit. So that's plenty of space for Sasquatch.
Yes, 818,814,000 acres and 3,313,622 kilometers. Did they see that? Which camera?
See, you're looking
kilometers. Kilometers. That's a lot of space.
It is.
That is a huge amount of space for a Sasquatch, even a werewolf.
Right. Or the New Jersey Devil.
Or look, I'm not saying I'm not going to go werewolf. Okay. But I'm just saying.
You need
People, keep your minds open to the possibility of a giant humanoid, hairy creature running around the woods. Because I'm telling you, it's out there. It's out there.
You need to. Did you take a picture of the Sasquatch that you made for Esme?
I do have it on Instagram.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get a copy of that so I can blast it up on the screen. The picture
That's
that
the one I did of that and the creature from the Black Lagoon. One where the Sasquatch is wearing a trucker hat.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway, okay. So I guess we're good. We talked for a long ass time, Matt.
Yeah, we did. What time is it? Oh, it's 3:39.
Oh, you got to go find your gym, don't you?